All right, Jesse, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a beautiful Wednesday. I'm excited about the coaching call today. How are you?
I am doing fantastic and I'm excited as well. This is a good middle of the year kind of pause right now.
Yeah, this is an exciting time of year. Anytime there's a quarterly review or a mid-year review, it's like a chance to start over or a chance to celebrate the wins you've had the first quarter or half of the year. And this has been a great year. So let's get rolling here.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the second mile mentality? Have you guys ever heard of that?
I have not.
The second mile mentality is like if you were to ask a friend or somebody to go with you and carry something a mile, most people would be like, yeah, I'll help you carry that 1 mile distance. But someone with a second mile mentality would be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you go the extra mile. I'll help you carry. And that's where people say, hey, go the extra mile. That's where that phrase comes from. Hey, I'll help you go a second mile. You asked me to go 1, I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go all the way and finish strong. And that's kind of a mindset we have to have for finishing our year, finishing our week, finishing our day of prospecting, finishing anything, is that second man mentality. Like, hey, I already did what I'm supposed to do or was asked to do by my coach or my mentor or myself. I'm gonna actually go push a little bit more. So that's the second mile mentality.
I love it. Absolutely. And as we know from experience in the real estate market, I've tracked my numbers for so many years. It always seems like the first half of the year, typically, you have to work a little bit harder the second half of the year to match the first half of the year, basically. So it's real important to evaluate what you did and then set yourself up for that second mile and mentally get prepared for it and make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, basically.
Yeah. And some people have already maybe hit some of their goals. They're like, oh, I'm ahead of my goals. And so they like let the gas off, right? We've all done that.
Yep.
Like, oh, I can kind of take it easy. Really, we can't. So let's talk about our mindset about results versus activities. We'll do a quick reality check, and then we'll review some of our business plans. Maybe if someone has something on their business plan they want to talk about or get specific, we can. If not, we're going to share some resources with you guys. So first, let's have a mindset checkup. There's kind of two things when it comes to any type of goals we're setting, any type of business plan we're creating. And that's thinking of the outcome, the end game, which is the result. And then there's the activities, which is the day-to-day grind that gets you there. And what I did is I actually put on my vision board a picture of a phone next to a picture of like a vacation, right? So there's a phone and a vacation. So in my mind, I'm visually connecting the end results that I want to get at the end of the year or the end of the week, the end of the month with the daily activity that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So how do you do that, Steve? How do you kind of connect the dots from the right now, the grind, the daily activities to your outcomes at the end of the year?
Yeah, that it's important to have a daily schedule, a daily plan of what you're doing. And like John, John always says, he told me several times, he said, just go beast mode for just today. Go beast mode just for today.
That's good.
And the cool part about what we've learned and what we teach is you can really work really hard for 2 or 3 hours in the morning and you can be done for the day. I don't, a lot of the time. So you definitely have to have all those things in place. A vision board. You have to be mentally prepared every day that you're gonna take these steps throughout the day to and finish. And once you connect your daily prospecting to the end result or to the goal, that's when you're going to have results. And it's just small steps every day are going to get you to that goal. And that's the thing too. Like you said, the vacation. One of the things that I do is I just set like a quarterly goal or a monthly goal. Obviously, I have a big picture for the year, and I do a checkup every quarter and every halfway through the year. But I set up shorter term goals, and then I have a reward at the end. maybe it's a vacation, or maybe it's a watch, or maybe it's something that I do with my family, or whatever it is, and on those days that you don't feel like doing all your prospecting, or the days you feel like quitting early, you have to focus on what the end result is. And you can always push yourself that extra mile. You could probably push yourself an extra 25 mile or 24 miles and make it a marathon if you really wanted to, but all you got to do is push yourself for that second mile, right?
100. So that, and that's what Steve said is the bullet points we have on here. It's getting out that vision board again, getting out that January letter, your prophecy letter. We've talked about that before, or just pulling out your business plan. One of our coaches and mentors that we've had, he looks at his business plan. He pulls it out of his desk every day and lays it right in front of him. He reviews it for about 5 minutes, puts it back in. He knows, like, that's where I'm going. And then kind of just connect, like, hey, calls lead to contracts, lead to closings, lead to commissions. So very simple, but it's easy to get stuck in one. Like, I'm all in the activities and I forget about the big picture, or I'm all vision and big picture and I forget about the daily activities. So connect those. So that brings us to a reality check, right? Look at what are the results you already have. How many listings do you have? How many active buyers? How many leads? How many appointments are you getting every week? How many number of pendings or under contracts do you have right now? How many closed transactions? And where is that at? Now, an easy way to get discouraged is to think like, hey, I had a goal of 12, transactions for the year, and I've only done 4. And you forget that maybe you have like another 3 or 4 that are pending, right? Steve, I don't know if you recall looking at that tracker that we've always looked at, and it always looked kind of half empty in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's, especially if you're working with a lot of listings and buyers, you have to make sure you put down, how many pending you have, how many upcoming listings that you have, and don't get discouraged, because that's one of the things about the first half of the year. The first half of the year, the numbers, this time of year in the middle of the 12 months, you're going to typically have more pending and more active listings, or listings that, are signed up already. And you're probably working with several buyers. And, in order to replicate that, you're not going to have all the ones that you do in the second half of the year are not going to close in the second half of the year. They're going to close maybe early next year. So you want to include everything. And we have that all mapped out. I mean, we have everything mapped out the way that we learned how to do it. And it's very simple, but if you're not, hey, if you're not following the program or not following the process, it's a great time to jump back in. And literally you can, if I don't care how many deals you've done the last 6 months, or, it's almost 6 months now, the last 6 months, you can increase that. You can triple or quadruple that over the next 6 months with just a few small tweaks in your business plan. Yeah. No doubt.
Several times I've had my biggest year be November, December. My biggest months of the year be November, December. Like Q4, the most closings. I remember like making 50 grand in a month. I was like, whoa, that all came because I pushed September, October, and then like November, December was just like, you guys can do that if you have the second mile mentality, finish strong. But have a reality check right now. How many people do you have in your database? Man, I need to increase that. This is the time to refresh, revisit that. Okay. So what do you need to do? We've talked about this before. I always like to ask myself, what do I need to keep doing? What's working? What do I need to stop doing? Like what's not working? And what do I need to start doing? What have you been procrastinating on? Start, stop, or keep, whatever those are. Okay. All right. So everybody has access to these. Okay. A business plan for 12 months and a quarterly business plan. And we're going to put that in the chat here so you guys can download it. Or if you don't already have this, please go do this. And make adjustments. And I can even pull these up here. Steve, do you want to go in depth on this and kind of pull them up and revisit?
We can just go with what's up here on the screen, and I'll just go through, unless you can pull one up real quick. Yeah. If you want to pull up the quarterly, or actually pull up the 12 month if you have that.
Got it right here.
Okay. So my coach every quarter, first of all, at the beginning of the year, he would have me fill one of these out. And then every quarter, I would also fill it out. So you can look at it a couple different ways. Right now, we're coming into the halfway point of the year. It could also be looked at as the second quarter. But the whole objective here is to look at this business plan that you filled out at the beginning of the year. And if you didn't fill one out, you can start right now. You can make the next 12 months your year. It doesn't matter what the calendar is. So what you want to do here is, put the information in year. What year is it? So if we'd already filled this, let's assume we already filled one of these out at the beginning of the year and we're now at the halfway point. So for the year 2021, my income goal, let's say, is $500,000 GCI. And I already know I have to do how many deals to reach that. And I know in my market, it's about 70 deals. So what I would do here is in the current closed, I would put how many have closed since January 1st. All right. And then how many are pending. So let's say that I had 70 deals is the number, and I have 25 closed, and I have 10 pending. So that's a total of what, 35 deals.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I've been there before. 35 deals at the halfway point, and your goal is 70. You're not going to probably close 70 at the end of the year. You're going to have realistically, unless you can do it. Like I said, you can do whatever you want, but if you keep doing the same thing you were doing the first half of the year, and you have 35 closed pending right now, the chances of you getting 70, it's not going to happen unless something dramatically changes. Okay. So you're taking an inventory so you can make adjustments so you can get to that point where you want to be. That's what the purpose of this is. How many deals left to achieve your goal? 35. Okay. So recap. So what you want to do first is you recap, not the plan, the recap. So if you look at the previous month's recap, hours prospected per day, I never really paid attention to that as much as I did the contacts per day, because I know over the years that prospecting on a daily basis, I know that it averages out to be 10 contacts per hour. All right. So I just go by the contacts. So let's just take a typical year that I've made over 500 GCI. My contacts per day were about 33 contacts a day. All right. How many open houses held? I can tell you that you could do this with 0 open houses. All right. For a lot of you right now, open houses, and for me, I've done a few this year. Open houses are a great way to get buyers and a great way to get sellers. These are huge. So don't discount those right now. It's harder to get listings than it has been in the past, but it's a lot easier to get them if you're out at the open houses. So if you've held 2 open houses and you know that you've gotten a deal or 2 from that, put it down. Okay. So put open houses held. Listing appointments. How many have you been on? You have to track this stuff. It's not going to work if you don't track it. And if you follow a daily schedule and you fill out the tracking Excel that we have, you'll be able to look at that and write this stuff in very quickly. So on a typical year, I would be at about 50 at this point. Let's say 45. Let's say 45. Okay, 45 listing appointments. Listings taken, probably about 30. All right. So that ratio is about 70% for me. It should be higher, but I go in a lot of listing appointments. Listings sold. You want to put how many you've sold. That means how many have closed and how many have gone under contract. Buyer sales. How many buyers have closed and how many have gone under contract. So closed transactions, that's the same as the one up there at the very top. And you want to put these are all actual numbers, and then income earned, monthly cost of living. Okay, hold on a second. Income earned. Oh, I see. Okay.
How much income you've earned from those, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be GCI. That's fine. You can put that in an actual. And then monthly cost of living, that probably shouldn't be right there. We need to take that out, I think. I don't think that needs to be right there because it doesn't match up. COI added to the database. This was one that I always struggled with, but this is probably the most important one if you want a long-term, sustainable, growing, a growth business. If you want your business to grow, you want to start adding people to your COI or your database. You want to try to add a couple people a week and, you know, at least 5 to 10 a month. So then you also, so we've just filled out the actual, I jumped ahead a little bit there on the database thing, but once you fill out the actual, you need to figure out where you're at as far as, you know, we know that we're behind, we're basically right on target, but this is why you need a coach. Coming from a coach's standpoint, if you're right on target, which means you're, you know, halfway there and you're halfway to your goal, you're going to have to up things a little bit the second half of the year. So I would up everything. I would up the contacts per day by 10%. The open houses held, I would up that by 10%. I would up the listing appointments by 10%. I would take everything up 10%. All right. That will probably get you to your 70 deals a year. All right. And you want to put down how many active listings you have, how many active buyers, and then your leads. These are people that you are very, leads are somebody that's going to buy or sell in the next 1 to 3 months that hasn't signed a contract yet. Those are the ones you want to put there, and you want to put a dollar amount by them. So that gets you motivated to call them. You know, I'm thinking of about 3 or 4 leads right now I need to call. And, you know, I can think about that person and the work involved, or I can just look at the fact that one of them's $8,000, one is $15,000. That's what it's really worth. That gets me a little more fired up to pick up the phone and make one freaking call, $15,000. That's what it's worth. One call, $15,000. No, you know what? I'd rather watch Netflix tonight. I don't have time for that. So what changes do I have to make? Guys, I saw something today that really was an eye opener, and I don't always follow Grant Cardone or listen to everything he says, but he did a really good post today, and I read it because, you know, they put the words up on the screen, and he said, I don't know verbatim what he said, but it was to the extent of, you know, what are you doing as far as, you know, what time are you getting up every day, and what time are you going to bed? You know, he said for himself, he's not watching TV, and he's going to bed at 9 p.m. and he's getting up at 5 a.m. And what does that do? He said over time that builds confidence, and it certainly does. And it builds confidence that you can do what you set out to do. It's going to make you way more productive. And just, you know, one little change like that, not watching TV at night or cutting that in half, is going to make a huge change in your life. And over time, that's going to slowly build your self-confidence. It's going to increase your production. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you healthier. It's going to change your life. So one little thing like that, getting to bed the same time early every night and getting up at the same time, is a huge difference. What's this part here?
This is last year's production.
Yeah. So that's if you're doing a 12-month, if you're doing the 12-month one, you fill that in.
Yeah.
So you can really dig into this at the beginning of the year, but for the quarterly one, we probably should just use the quarterly one, but the quarterly one is just the first page, I believe, right?
Yeah. And the power of this, though, is it also tells you what, if you're already tracking your numbers, you'll know what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's the point of this. It tells you what you need to do based on what you've already done. So I was like, hey, I get a deal for every 120 people I talk to. Cool. Now, you know, you could just create a calculation and say, all right, how many days am I going to work? How many people do I need to talk to each day?
And the changes that you need to make, like I was just talking, you know, like I just discussed the Grant Cardone thing. If you go down to the daily schedule,
yeah,
everybody's got the same number of hours in a day, and it's just what you do within those hours. And guys, really, you could look at this thing, and from 7 a.m. to 12:30, 3 days a week, or I'm sorry, 5 days a week. If you just worked 7:30 to 12:30, 5 days a week, and then take two afternoons or evenings the rest of the week for listing appointments, you can do 75, 80 deals a year. I've done it several years in a row by doing that. So in other words, I'm saying you don't have to kill yourself in this business if you follow. That's how powerful this is.
Yep.
You know, it's if you follow a plan and you work this system, you're not going to have to work 12-hour days.
Yeah. This is really what, 3 hours of lead generation and lead follow-up every day.
Yep.
And that's where the trackers come in. So obviously the business plan is what you need to do. And then the trackers that we give you guys, again, links in the chat, those are to keep you on track to hit those things. So it's two tools that go hand in hand together. Yeah. So daily and monthly, looking at everything that you need to be doing and what you are doing is about reality check right here. So just putting it on here, it wakes you up. Like, okay, man, I've only worked X amount of days this month. I know I need to really step it up. All right, cool. Anything else you want to say about?
I will say this, when one of the top 3 or 4 things that changed my business completely from, an average agent making 50 to 100,000 or 50 to $75,000 a year to making well over 500K a year GCI was when I started tracking my numbers on a daily basis. Why is that? Number one, after the first 30 to 60 days, it gets you really excited to see the progress, to see what you've accomplished. And because you're going to start seeing results. And if you track the numbers, you'll be able to tell exactly, you'll be able to see the fruit of your labor and what the time you put in, what the results were. And it's right there in writing. It's right there in front of you. And also what that does, which I didn't realize until, I did it for about a year, was it really allows your coach, which, guys, if you don't have a coach, we are your coach, by the way. If anybody's doing this, we will take the time to go over this with you one-on-one, anybody that's on this call right now. So it gives your coach the opportunity to look at the numbers and be able to decipher what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, and what changes you need to make to improve. That's it.
All right. So little pop quiz. What business are we really in, you guys?
I'm in the recruiting agent attraction.
A lot of times we think we're in the real estate business, or, hey, I'm into recruiting, or I'm doing transaction management. I'm managing all my transactions. Or are you in sales and marketing? I'll tell you what the correct answer is. If anybody wants to guess in the chat. What is the answer? What business are we all really in? a lot. It's a mindset shift.
All right, somebody did something in the chat. Is that from before? Yeah.
I already gave away the answer.
Sales and marketing. Okay.
That's what we're doing every single day. We're doing sales. We're in marketing. We're getting the word out. We're generating leads. We're converting those leads. It doesn't matter. We could put us in any type of industry. That's what we're doing, the same exact tasks.
So you're saying a real estate salesperson is a salesperson?
100.
That's what they're doing. They're selling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times we get caught up in the, hey, I need to be doing this other activity, and instead of sales activities, instead of marketing activities, things that will generate and grow our business and get those results on our business plan. It's not even recruiting, even though you might think, oh, well, if I get more people and build a team. No, we are in sales. We're generating leads, converting those leads, and then fulfilling. Okay, let's do one more. All right. What are income producing activities? Give us an A in the chat or a B in the chat. Or if you want to unmute yourself.
Jesse,
and say,
I make a lot of money by going to those inspections, and I love doing paperwork because I have all that extra time to do paperwork, and it makes me a lot of money because nobody else can do it. And then I like to talk to my attorney a lot and ask him how his golf game is. That's always, that makes me a lot of money. And then my favorite is going to social media. That one right there has made me so much money. It's unbelievable.
Who likes tinkering with all the tech, right? I know we get lost in the tech, man. I hate it myself. The answer is A, okay? It's plan, prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments, negotiate contract. PLAN, follow the plan. Those are income producing activities. And if you do it 2 to 3 hours a day, no matter, again, you're in sales and marketing, 2 to 3 hours of sales activity every day, it solves all of our problems.
That's exactly right, Jesse. And if anybody's on this call and they're saying, yeah, whatever, guys, whatever, Steve and Jesse, that's, I have to do all those other things. You know what you're talking about. I will say this, guys, not 20%, but probably 10% or less of my time, my most productive years making, if you're not making over 500 GCI this year, then you need to pay attention, because B, I probably spent 10% of my time or less focused on those things when I'm making 500K a year plus. A, I spend 95%. So I don't know why there's the 5% difference, but really 95% of my time was A, or is A. That's what I focus on. So that's going to be the difference. This is a big deal. It's not just something we're making up.
And sometimes we like to, I've done this. Again, we've probably all done this where we think we make excuses because we want to be busy and look productive being busy. Like, oh, I had to go to the inspection. No, you don't actually have to go to the inspection. Like, you don't, right? Oh, I had to get this paperwork done. No, actually, you don't have to. There's transaction coordinators. I've done probably, out of all the deals I've probably done 10% of the paperwork. Yep. Right? You don't have to. We tell ourselves that. I still do. I'm like, man, I got to really do this activity that makes me feel important. It makes me feel busy. Really, we don't have to. Right? So someone else can do that. Do what makes you money. And that's these activities.
Delegate those things on the right.
Yeah. To the attorney, to a title rep, to a transaction coordinator, anybody.
If your attorney's making you run around and do stuff, that you got to find a different attorney. My attorney sends me emails, and I might have, for every 5 deals that I have 1 phone call maybe with my attorney. They all get closed. Everything goes smooth through email. I can look at my email once a day. Everything's handled. Nothing gets blown up. It just works that way. It's doable. It's a mindset thing.
You don't even have to set people up on property alerts. They can do that on KV Core themselves. Yep. So there's so many things. I've done this so many times where I'm like, I feel like I was busy today, and we want to hit our goals for 2021. We gotta go after what works. All right. There's links in the chat. What questions do we have? While we're waiting for any questions today, if you're in the Downers Grove area, there's an event going on. Be there at 6 p.m. Bring somebody.
Yeah, guys, for anybody on the call listening still or at all, I'll be there tonight running the meeting in Downers Grove from 6 to 7. And I think we're going to have a couple of people that are bringing other agents in that may be interested in EXP. So we'll do a very similar presentation as the one we just did here, but then I'm also going to do an EXP explain for about 20 minutes and just go over some of the highlights and reasons why we joined EXP. So feel free to bring some people with you, some guests, and we'll have a good time.
Nice.
All right, Jesse, if there's no questions, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you.
Any questions? Going once, going twice? You guys have a wonderful day. We're done.